A child who is not embraced by the village will burn it down to feel its warmth. What is an example of this that you've seen or experienced firsthand? My uncle was always the black sheep of the family. Growing up, he seemed to drift through life without the same achievements or interests that impressed our grandparents or his 4 sisters. As a kid, I just assumed he was lazy or aimless, the kind of person who never measured up to the standards everyone else in the family seemed to meet effortlessly. But as I got older, I realized there was a lot more going on beneath the surface than anyone, including me at the time, had understood. He was the only son of my grandparents, and they never hid their disappointment. The verbal abuse was subtle, but constant. They'd comment on his grades, his choice of hobbies, or how little he seemed to care about impressing them. Family gatherings were a minefield of backhanded compliments and comparisons to his sisters. The message was always the same: he was never enough. Even as a child, he seemed to take it in stride, shrugging off the comments with a smile or retreating into his own world. But now, looking back, it's clear he was quietly observing, calculating, and planning his own path. He didn't waste energy trying to please them. He focused on himself. By the time he was finishing high school, he had secured a full scholarship to his dream college. It wasn't just luck. He had poured himself into academics, developed skills, and quietly networked in ways no one noticed. College was transformative for him. He studied hard, found like-minded peers, and set his sights on a career that would make him financially independent and secure. After graduation, he landed a really well-paying job, the kind that required long hours and commitment, but also gave him freedom from the financial and emotional dependence on his family. Around this time, he met a woman who would become his wife. She was supportive, kind, and grounded. They married, and a few months ago they had a daughter. I'd seen pictures on social media and could immediately tell she had his eyes and his calm, observant demeanor. Meanwhile, my grandparents and his sisters had run themselves into financial trouble over the years. My uncle found out about the extent of their debts near the end of college. They came to him for help, expecting him to bail them out like they had done for each other in the past. That's when he drew a line. He didn't yell, he didn't explode, he simply refused. He told them to take care of their own problems. For the first time in his life, he placed himself above the family expectations and abuse. I was one of the only people in the family who stayed in contact with him after that. Most of my cousins had quietly cut him off or avoided reaching out. At the time, I was too young to understand the full context, let alone travel to see him on my own. But I made sure we kept in touch online. Facebook Messenger became our main form of communication. His wife was everything I imagined: friendly, welcoming, and understanding. We'd chat about life, work, and family dynamics. He'd send photos of his daughter, who was vibrant, happy, and utterly charming. It was clear that he had built a life that was entirely his own, free from the shadows of judgment and abuse. He was still the same uncle I remembered from my childhood in terms of personality: strong, kind-hearted, and quietly determined, but now with an added layer of self-assuredness. The contrast between his life and the toxic environment he had grown up in was striking. He wasn't trying to prove anything to the family anymore. He had created his own village, one that embraced him for who he was, rather than who others wanted him to be. He thrived on his own terms, and the results were obvious: a happy marriage, a thriving career, and a beautiful child. Next week, I'll finally meet my little cousin in person. I'm looking forward to spending time with her and seeing the little world my uncle and his wife have created. It feels like a full circle, witnessing someone who was once the black sheep of the family emerge as the person everyone should have respected all along. Seeing him now, I understand the weight of what he endured and the patience it took to wait for the right moment to assert his independence. He didn't burn the village down out of rage. He built his own warmth elsewhere, leaving behind those who never embraced him. And in doing so, he showed that a child who is not embraced by the village can still create a world where they are valued, loved, and successful. I'm grateful I've been able to stay in contact and witness it. The photos of his daughter, the laughter in our video calls, and the stories he shares about life make me feel like I've been let in on a secret. The story of a man who quietly planned his escape from abuse, built a life of his own, and found true happiness on his own terms.